Hello and welcome back to Solid. My name is Jake. Thank you guys very much for joining me. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd, and I'm doing like a year in review kind of thing for the Battlehawks season. It's day 2 of the week. Like I decided yesterday, that's what it's going to be called. Gotta tell you, right now, if you don't like hearing numbers, this one's not for you. This you can. I'm gonna do a lot of reading in numbers and where the Battlehawks kind of rank in everything. If you don't like that, I get it because it's a lot of stuff that gets thrown at you quick, and the way that I do this show, like if you're listening to this, only listening to this on Spotify or Apple, you can watch it on YouTube at Solid Pod on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube and you don't want to watch it and you want to listen to it, kind of psychotic, but I get it. You can do that on Apple and Spotify at Solid. Um, so peek behind the curtain, the way that I record this, it is part I don't know how to do it, part ease of access, part I'm doing this for free, and part I don't know how to do it. But the way that I do this show is that I record and then I just upload. I just upload the video to YouTube. No edits. Nothing fancy. There's no theme song. You want a theme song? Do 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 do. I don't know what that was, but that's there. Theme song. Congratulations, you got one. But no theme song, no editing, no sharing of my screen onto the video. Guys, I'm not getting paid for it, and this takes up a considerable chunk of my time. Um, so I'm just going to be reading things and not showing you anything. If you want to follow along, I would largely, wholly recommend against doing that. I don't know if I've referenced this a few times. The way that the UFL does their season long stats now and their stat comparisons and everything, they used to have this one. Whoever was doing it before, it was terrific. It was nice. You could just click and sort through shit on their website. It was delightful. You wanted to know how everybody was doing with passing? You would hit stats. You would go to all UFL stats, and they would be there right there for you. Now, what you do is you go to the UFL's website. You go to stats. I'm sorry, I'm doing this right now. They do have a nice thing called True Stats. This apparently is what they were trying to do. I'm assuming maybe with next gen stats. I'm going to read this. As a part of its involvement with FAST, football advancement through sports technology, the UFL's new technology-focused innovation division, Skill Corner, the automated technology company that delivers tracking data, is providing the UFL this season with insights into speed, distance, separation, and other advanced performance metrics, helping to they're redefining how UFL teams, analysts, and fans understand the game. That is one sentence. I just read you one sentence. There are M dashes, there are dashes, there are commas, no periods except at the end. If you click on that, if you go to theufl.com, you go to stats, it gives you a little drop down thing on the side. If you click on True Stats, it gives you two. It gives you True Stats. You know the reason the UFL paired with them so they could be part of its involvement with fast football advancement through sports technology. They did that so we could learn. One stat is touchdown top speed plus 15 yards. Listen, here's the deal. When you're listing a stat, it is very important that you are clear about what that stat is. If something says touchdown top speed 15 plus yards, I'm assuming, and I think I'm correct, that is the top speed in which somebody got in a 15-plus yard touchdown, which is, by the way, very limiting. that is that is that is very limited. Fucking, I could do that for you. I could do that for you with a radar gun, and that would be pretty easy. It gives you that. By the way, if you were wondering, Willie Harvey is the ninth on this ranking. In week 4, he was 26.26 on a 56-yard touchdown. Willie Harvey. I'm guessing he had a scoop and score or pick six. Honestly, I don't remember that. I can click play. Oh, and it'll show it to me right here. It'll show it to me right here. 1 second. I'm watching this play of Willie Harvey picking off Luis Perez. Yep, Willie Harvey picked off Luis Perez and hit 20 point. What was that number? He hit 20.26 on that one. And then Micah Abraham is number 10 on that list, tied number 10 on that list with his scoop and score in week 9. So that doesn't make sense. And then improbable completions. The probability that a pass will be completed determined by factors such as the separation between the intended receiver and the nearest defender, the distance the ball is thrown, and the level of pressure on the quarterback. If a pass seems hard to make and it gets completed, that's an improbable completion, and it listed off a handful of the things that they take into account for that. Max Duggan had one to Gary Jennings in week 7. Let's look at this one. This is against Memphis. Let's look. He's just dropping back, pulls up to the left a little bit, hits Gary Jennings. Okay, this is the one where Max hit him high, and they like reviewed that catch, and Gary Jennings did end up coming down with it. So you're talking about improbable completions. That's one, and the Battlehawks are ranked number 3 in improbable completion thing. Anyway, my point here is that the UFL sucks with this goddamn bullshit. The other thing is that if you wanted to look at the entirety of the league stats, which is what I'm going for here, this is how I started this whole thing. The reason I'm doing this is because the UFL is absolutely dog shit at record keeping with this kind of stuff. It was so easy before, and now you click on this thing and it opens up a goddamn PDF. So if you want to find something, you got to do a Control F and scroll through everything. You can't just sort shit by highest to lowest, how anybody in their right mind would with any table ever. It just gives you the tables, and go fuck yourself. Figure it out for yourself. So what I'm doing here is that I'm figuring it out, and I'm sharing it with you, okay? That's my point here. You made it through all that goddamn preamble of some fucking bastardization of next-gen stats where they only did, fastest speed on touchdowns and improbable catches. Good for them. Go fuck yourself, UFL. You fucking slapdick piece of shit. That being said, I'm going to read this shit off. Okay. If you don't like numbers, not for you. So, the Battlehawks in total defense. Let's start with because I believe that, and it kind of makes sense now that if the Battlehawks win this whole damn thing, it's going to be based on the defense. That's the strength of this team, is the defense's ability to just not let shit happen. And I had it before, but again, I have to scroll through. I Control F defense. And now I'm going through this. Okay. So, this somehow is still fucked. What the fuck? This goddamn shit, man. I swear to God. It's like these people have it out for me. Okay. The Battlehawks. The Battlehawks have the number 1 defense in this league. In my opinion, it really depends on what you value when it comes to what makes a top defense. In my mind, a combination of allowing the fewest yards and allowing the fewest points makes the best defense. You can bring in conversion rates and stuff like that, but the Battlehawks allowed the fewest points in the entirety of the NFL. They only of the UFL. What the ever. They only allowed 163 points. I say only allowed 163 points. On the other end of the spectrum is the Brahmas, who allowed 274 points. So the Battlehawks allowed 163 points. That is a league lowest. Right behind them is the Birmingham Stallions, who allowed 167. For context, the Battlehawks point differential, meaning the points they scored minus the points that they allowed against, the Battlehawks had plus 68. Which is the second best in the entire UFL. The best was the Birmingham Stallions, who had plus 77. Of the teams that made it into the playoffs, the Stallions are number 1 at plus 77. The Battlehawks are number 2 at plus 68. The Michigan Panthers are number 3 at plus 47. And the DC Defenders, guys, the DC Defenders, this team that kicked the absolute shit out of the Battlehawks in Week 3, the DC Defenders, their point differential, if you haven't looked it up yet, I want you to think to yourself right now, think this team, the DC Defenders team went 6-4, team that went 6-4, what their point differential is. I'm going to give you a hint. It is positive. I'm going to give you another hint. All right, think of a number. Again, they're in 4th. The team that is in 3rd is plus 47. So it's somewhere between a 1 and 47. Okay, I'm going to give you another hint. Single digits. So this number, the DC Defenders point differential, is somewhere between 9 and 1. Think of a number. It's 1. They're plus 1 point differential, guys. They're plus 1 point differential. Point differential, I believe, in my mind, can be super, super, super meaningful. It can also mean absolutely nothing. I believe in their case, it's closer to the meaning nothing than it is to the meaning a lot. For example, let's go to the NFL. I just farted. I don't know if you could hear that. The NFL last year, and I don't like the Chiefs. You shouldn't either. But the Chiefs were a plus 59 point differential, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th best point differential in the NFL. They were the 3rd best point differential in their division. So on the other side, the Eagles were plus 160. So it can mean a lot. The Eagles had a fucking badass, one of the best defenses that we've ever seen. And the Lions had a good defense but a badass offense. They were plus 222. The Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl at plus 59. So it's not exactly like the point differential means like the most in the world, but it can be telling. I think that the plus 1 point differential that the slapdicks, the defenders have, I think it's more not telling than it is telling, because they are good. It's just they're not world beaters. Whereas the Battlehawks allowing the fewest points and having the best points or the best defense in this league, that's kind of more or less a world-beating thing. And saying kind of more or less world-beating means that it's not world-beating. I fucking get it. But it's a good thing. I think that as far as things to say, or as far as this goes, the Battlehawks having the plus, what did I say, plus 68 point differential is more telling of that team than the Defenders' plus 1 point differential is telling of that team. I think that makes sense. Okay, so getting into this shit, Battlehawks allowed the fewest points of any team in the UFL. They also allowed the tied, which is crazy, tied second fewest yards in the league, which is very dumb. I don't know how this shit works out. The Renegades allowed the fewest yards at 2,551. The Battlehawks and the Birmingham Stallions allowed the same number of yards, 2,670, which is crazy. So we're talking a team that's allowing an incredibly small number of yards. And to be fair, let's see, the delta between 1 and 2 is 119 yards. The delta between 2 and 4, 2 and 3, essentially, I guess, is a little over 150. If my quick math, there's a bigger delta between the Battlehawks and Stallions and the team below them, which is the Showboats, than there is a difference between the Renegades and the teams in 2. That's my point there. The Battlehawks also allowed the second tied once again with another team. This one makes a little bit more sense that teams can be tied. The second fewest touchdowns. They allowed 19 total touchdowns to the Stallions, 18 total touchdowns. The Battlehawks allowed the fewest rushing touchdowns of any team. They were at 5. The Panthers in second at 7. San Antonio Brahmas in dead last by a fucking whopping. They're at 20, which is 8 more than the team next to them, which is the DC Defenders. And I'm going to do a lot of comparisons to the Defenders just because that's the team that's coming up right now. Battlehawks allowed the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Battlehawks right in the middle at 5 with the allowing the most receiving touchdowns. They have 12. Showboats allowed 14. Stallions only allowed 6. So yeah, I mean it's a good defense, man. That's all I could say. Rushing yards is a way that a lot of teams in this league win games, and if you're allowing the fewest rushing touchdowns, especially when the way that penalties work in this game, where they can bring you up to the 2-yard line, only allowing 5 rushing touchdowns is a pretty impressive thing. Battlehawks also allowed the second fewest first downs of any team in the UFL, 156 to the Renegades, 150. DC tied for 6th, tied for second to last at 178. Man, that's all I can really say. One thing that did stand out to me is that the Battlehawks do have the defense is on the field for the most of any team. So the opposing offense's time of possession, Battlehawks were at 311 minutes and 37 seconds, whereas Arlington was on the other side of that at 280 minutes and 51 seconds. And guys, I told you, again, I'm going to say a lot of numbers. If you don't want to listen to this, cancel out, and I'm not going to feel bad. I don't give a shit. I just don't. So defensively as a whole, man, if this team's going to win, it's going to be through that. Looking at offense now, I don't give a shit about that. Okay, total offense, Battlehawks at 5th with 2,755 yards. They are 3rd in scoring with 231 points. They have the 4th most total touchdowns at 26. Michigan is number 1 with 31 touchdowns. Rushing touchdowns, Battlehawks for 1st with 16 rushing touchdowns to Michigan's 15. Battlehawks are in second to last place with passing touchdowns. They only have 7. Last place is Brahmas and Showboats with 5. First place is DC with 20. So, yeah, the kind of falls in line. The rushing offense is good. It's going to get you less yards than a passing offense. And the Battlehawks have the most rushing yards in the league by over 100 yards. They have 144 rushing yards to second is Michigan's 1,279. The Defenders only have 989 rushing yards and just an absolute dickload of passing yards. Over 1,000 more passing yards than the Battlehawks do. So that is that. Do I want to get into any of the other shit that I got going on here as far as like team-wide stuff goes, or do I want to see if I can get into the how quarterback play with Max Duggan. Let's do that. Let's get quarterback play with Max Duggan. Let's dive into this shithole. And by shithole, I'm not saying Max Duggan's a shithole. I'm saying that, well, at least now I get to go into PFF to get these numbers. Okay. Max Duggan. Max Duggan. Once again, I did a filter here. This is for quarterbacks who have done 90 dropbacks. Ooh, also, while I'm thinking about it, I did look to see the number of plays that Pita Taumoi-Penu's sacks were on. The number of plays Pita Taumoi-Penu's sacks were on, it was actually 8. So he leads the UFL in sacks. It was a beating kind of going through and doing this. So what I had to do was open up every single play or every single game's like their PDF. I said they do the PDF for like the final stats. They do that also for every individual game, which does like drive charts and shit. It's so terrible. And I just Control F Taumoi-Penu. I did not spell that out. I Control C'd his name and then pasted Control V'd and then Control F'd. And then I just went through and I found out each and every sack, and he had 7.5 sacks on 8 plays. So I did mention yesterday that 7.5 sacks on 15 plays is more impressive to me than 7.5 sacks on 8 plays. But, and he did hit the minimum on that. That does not take away from the fact that it was still 7.5 sacks. Okay. Going into this quarterback bullshit. Looking at dropbacks, Max Duggan had 136 dropbacks, and I like dropbacks more than I like completion percentage. I wish that there was something that people put where it was a completion percentage per dropback, but that's something that I don't necessarily want to be tacking into the keyboard a whole bunch while I'm doing this. So I am going to make sure that I do pay attention to dropbacks and make that notable before I get into completion percentages and shit like that. Max Duggan had 136 dropbacks. That puts him smack dab right in the middle. There are 13 quarterbacks who fall into the we've taken over 90 dropbacks, and Max Duggan smack dab in the middle of those 13 with 136, whereas Jordan Ta'amu with 308, which is a lot more. Be fair, he also played, what's that? I guess he only played 2 more games. Whatever. I don't give a shit. This guys, if it doesn't seem like my heart is in on this, it's not, man. I'm not giving you any analysis here. I'm just reading numbers, and it's just, it's just not a fun thing to me. Just reading numbers is just not a fun thing to me. So I'm going to do it some more. Max Duggan, talking about that completion percentage. He had a 57.3% completion rate, all right? That actually ties him with Danny Etling and Kellen Mond. Not exactly the company that you want to be with. That being said, his pure completion percentage, better than Jordan Ta'amu's, who is at number 11 here with a 54.6% completion rate. That is yucky. That is a very yucky thing to be looking at there. That being said, he also threw for a shitload of yards. I think yesterday I said that Jordan Ta'amu was the league's leading passer. It was actually Luis Perez with over 100 yards more. That's not important here. Going to that adjusted completion percentage, I like the adjusted completion percentage because that gives us a little bit more insight. It takes away what wide receivers do there. Max Duggan has a 66.3 adjusted completion rate. Once again, better than Jordan Ta'amu's 61.9 completion rate. So it does, Max Duggan is 11 out of 13 on that, but listen, man, I don't got to tell you, Max Duggan, not exactly the best passer. His game is that he's also a running threat. And he's one of the better running threats in this league as far as a quarterback goes. I would argue the most, I don't know if I want to say the most efficient without having the numbers up, but when you watch other quarterbacks in this league, I know Bryce Perkins is able to kind of take the ball and run with it and get some stuff. But when Max Duggan decides and just takes the ball, and then they have like that 18 or that that power run on the outside. Man, it's something nice. And whenever he does the QB draw and he just says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do my thing," like that's where you get the Max Duggan gain. And I'm gonna take a quarterback who can do that and add a +1 to the run game when this team is so good at running the ball. I mean, those two things go hand in hand. I'm gonna take that over the arm, I think. Especially when he can be efficient with the arm, when he's very decisive. That's not important. We'll get into that later on in the week. As far as sacks go, in this, Max Duggan is unfortunately second in sacks, tied for second in sacks with, again, Kellen Mond at 15. Luis Perez takes the cake with 23 sacks, which is a very funny thing to me. Jordan Ta'amu, the third least sacks. Did you know Matt Corral didn't get sacked? Look at that. Look at him. But Jordan Ta'amu only took 6 sacks. He's tied with 3 other cats. Case Cookus, Bryce Perkins, Jordan Ta'amu at 6 sacks. That is the second fewest sacks taken in the UFL. So we got that. Do I want to look at this? The drop rate from receivers. Max Duggan with a 7% drop rate. He's had the most drops from. Sorry, no, he hasn't. What am I looking at here? Max Duggan is at the bottom end of number of drops that he's had from his receivers. But the percentage wise, Max Duggan has a where's that at? A 6% drop rate, which puts him right smack dab in the middle. Jordan Ta'amu with a 5.5% drop rate. I don't think this is a good show. Can I be? I think I covered the things that I needed to cover. When I thought that I was going to do a year in review kind of thing, go through all the numbers and stuff, I was like, that's a good idea. But then whenever they make everything such a clusterfuck and just an absolute mindfuck to have to read through, it makes it such a pain in the ass, and it's got to be unenjoyable to listen to. So I am going to end it there. Battlehawks offense is middling, but makes sense given the way that they run their offense. The Battlehawks defense is good, and which is impressive given the injuries that they've had in the secondary. So yeah, that's. I guess I probably could have made this a 3-minute video and just said that. Probably would have been a move, but I'm going to end it. All right. This has been week 2 of the first of the week. It's been solid. Thank you guys for watching. Go Birds, go Battlehawks, go Iron Birds, cause the law. Anything you say to anybody, they're going to be like, "Oh, that guy, that's just a Battlehawks guy." That's all that is. That's just a Battlehawks guy. Like I went to the dollar store, bought a and don't judge me like the woman at the counter judged me. I went and I just bought a pack of cards because it's $1.25. They're $1.25. I got a Liatu Latu rookie card, so that'll be good. Also got a Cole Bishop one, which that'll be good too. And I'm not a big card guy. I'm not trying to say I'm a big card guy. But I went there and they're fun. Sure, fuck it. I want to try to get a Quinyon Mitchell one or a Cooper DeJean one. Sue me. You can't. And the lady said, "Is that all you're gonna get?" And I said, "Yep." You got to think that most of the time people who walk into the dollar store don't do that. But I said, "Yep," and then she checked me out, and obviously when I said "yep," she's like, "Oh, this is a Battlehawks guy. That's why he's buying NFL cards." That one didn't make a whole lot of sense. This has been a piss poor effort by me. This has been solid. I will talk to you guys tomorrow tomorrow be real. Tomorrow we're going to get you a recap. We're going to get you a recap of the week 3 game where the Battlehawks lost to the Defenders and see what went wrong there, what went right there. It was a different quarterback. That was Manny Wilkins at the time, but we'll see if we can find some spots where we think that maybe the Max Duggan running game will fit in. We'll see if we can find some stuff and see what we can kind of predict going into the weekend. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.